Today, we've got a case for you where the search for a phantom suspect ended up uncovering a killer who was hiding in plain sight the entire time. This one sentence right here, from an early interrogation, it really gets to the heart of this whole thing. This is a story that was built on an absolutely incredible foundation of lies. So, let's dive into the tragic and really twisted case of Annie Kasprzak. It's a story that kicks off with a truly chilling discovery.
Our story starts on March 11th, 2012. A jogger is out near Utah's Jordan River and makes a frantic call to 911.
At first, Annie's parents thought she'd simply run away. And you can't blame them. She actually left a note saying she was heading to California. In that note, she also came clean about a lie she told her friends, that she was pregnant. It seemed like a small, teenage deception. But the bloody scene at the river told a completely different, much more violent story. This wasn't a runaway case anymore. It was a homicide. So naturally, investigators start looking at the people closest to Annie. That led them to two people, her boyfriend Chris Bagshaw and this really mysterious figure who kept popping up in her journals. When the police questioned Chris, he had what sounded like a pretty solid alibi. But here's the thing. He immediately started deflecting, pointing the finger at this other guy, this threatening, mysterious rival he called LJ. Chris, and get this, even another friend of theirs named Spencer. They both tell the police that this LJ guy is totally real. They say he has gang ties, that he'd been threatening them, and just like that, LJ becomes the number one suspect. The police were officially on the hunt for a ghost. While the search for this phantom suspect was going absolutely nowhere, the case was getting colder by the day. And then a phone call comes into the station that was about to blow this entire investigation wide open. This woman, Joanna's testimony was the definition of a bombshell. Her story was so detailed, so horrific, and it seemed to perfectly explain all the evidence they had. It looked like she had just solved the whole case, identifying not one but two killers. For the investigators, this was the massive breakthrough they had been so desperate for. Okay, so acting on Joanna's incredible tip, the police immediately raid the home of John, the man she pointed to. And what they found there, it seemed to confirm her entire horrifying story. The house showed all the signs of a massive cover-up. Fresh paint on the walls, carpets ripped out, just like Joanna had described in chilling detail. It really, really looked like they had their man. But then, the lab results came back. The scene looked almost too perfect. You know that saying, if it seems too good to be true, it probably is? Well, it was. The lab results came in, and the truth was just stunning. Joanna Franklin had made the entire thing up. She had woven details from news reports into this elaborate fantasy, all to frame an innocent man as revenge. Think about that. That one single, vengeful lie didn't just waste a little police time. It sent a grieving family and the entire investigation on a devastating wild goose chase that lasted for an entire year, 365 days, all while the real killer was just walking free. So now it's a full year later. They're frustrated and they're right back at square one. Investigators had no choice but to go back to the only thing they could actually trust, the raw data. They started digging back into Annie's phone records, hoping the truth had been hiding there all along. And under this new, intense scrutiny, Chris's so-called solid alibi just started to crumble. The data didn't make any sense. Think about it. If Chris was asleep in his grandmother's living room, why was she calling his cell phone multiple times after midnight? And why was he using his cell to call her house? The whole story was falling apart. But the biggest question was still hanging out there. They traced that string of calls from the blocked number, the ones that everyone, including the police, had assumed were from the phantom, LJ. The data told the real story. The person who was calling Annie in her final moments, it wasn't some phantom gang member from her diary. It was her own boyfriend, Chris, and he was using a secret second phone. So investigators track down Chris. He's living in Colorado by now, and they confront him with the phone records. And with that hard evidence in front of him, that whole web of lies he'd spun just completely unraveled. Faced with the undeniable phone data, the lies just started spilling out. Chris admitted LJ was a complete fiction, a story he used to throw the police off his trail. He confessed he coached his friend to lie. His phone pinged at the crime scene. He admitted to everything except why. The real motive was so chilling he only revealed it later when he was bragging about the murder to an inmate in juvie. And this is just sickening. While he's publicly performing grief on Facebook, telling all their friends to wear red for Annie, he's hiding this awful truth. He had killed her because he wrongly believed she was pregnant with his child. That inmate's testimony was the final nail in the coffin. His story about the murder weapon, a shovel, and the specific injuries, it all matched the autopsy report perfectly. It completely sealed Chris's fate, and it exposed not just the brutal act itself, but the cold, calculated cover-up that followed. So you have to ask, how many lives were just completely destroyed here? This whole case is such a tragic reminder of how one lie can just spiral out of control. It started with Annie's fib about being pregnant, which pushed her boyfriend to commit a horrific murder, which he then covered up with another web of lies that sent everyone chasing a ghost. For me, the thing that is just so haunting about this story is the sheer catastrophic power of those lies, just one piling on top of the next. But I really want to know what you think. What part of this case stood out to you the most? The idea of the phantom boyfriend, the elaborate frame-up by that witness, or the digital trail that finally exposed the killer? Let us know down in the comments. And if you want to dive into more complex stories just like this one, make sure you subscribe so you never miss a new explainer. Thanks for watching.